So I'm just gonna get quick and straight to the point. I don't want to fucking sour y'all's mood, so... Oh, fuck, I'm about to cry. Anyways, thank you both for being fans. I'm just gonna go ahead and go now. Ain't no vocabulary signing off.
What made it this way? What is the attraction? What makes us fascinated? This is the story of Nova Online. Oh, I miss doing that. Ever since the Sonic 2 videos I was making. That I never finished, by the way. I have files, they're audio files of Sonic 2 readings from years ago that I never made into a video. They're just sitting there. Probably, I don't know. I'm probably never gonna finish that. I don't know. No. I never finished them. You see, I don't remember when I recorded this anymore. I don't remember exactly what was happening anymore. The thing is that with Nova, just like with pretty much every other locale that there is on the internet, this is always pretty much the same scenario. Locales follow the same pattern of personality. As different as they are, they usually follow the same traits that make them a locale to begin with. And Nova is no exception. You don't even need to know specifics about a scenario that you see them on, some kind of reaction, something that they're going through. You don't even know exactly what is the context. If you already know locales, you know exactly pretty much what's going on. For example, in here, you can rest assured he's crying because some drama happened on the internet. Somebody called him out. There was a lot of escalation of the situation, and he couldn't control it. He felt bad. They made videos about him, and an attempt that they wanted to do to rectify their public image on the internet was ruined, which made them feel bad. It is your fault for making them feel bad about something they did. Understand? Same thing happened with Christian in the old prehistoria. Cybrax. Same things happening with Jeremy, the quartering right now. So quartering started back like a million years ago as a kind of based anti-woke channel, and then I remember I used to watch him actually. Who knows? Back in like 2015, 16, something like that. When was that? When like the whole whatever her name is saga was happening. Captain Marvel was her name? Whatever. Yeah. But I got tired of him. I got like I remember I actually recommended this channel to another friend of mine that had like the same kind of mindset. He was even more like the type of guy who would like was into that kind of stuff. And we were liking him for a while, like for a year or something. We were watching him until we both separately came to the realization, like, hey, you still watch the quartering? And the other one was like, nah, not really. I got kind of fed up with him. And the other one was like, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, ugh, it's too much. Exactly. He started as a turned Christian conservative, no, like super conservative, anti-pornography, anti-masturbation, anti-sexualization of women, all these kind of things, plus anti-woke, conservative to the core. Turns out it was all a lie. He's a pervert, he's a grifter, he's a liar. Slowly, evidence started to get progressively more telling into his lies. People started calling him out. A key component about a liar is that they lie about little things that they don't really take into account for the bigger picture that they're trying to present. So that is why they fall into inconsistencies, and that is why little evidences here and there start to accumulate. Things they said, things they did, things they accumulated over the years. And now that we have internet is easier to find all those things just recorded 5 years ago, 2 years ago. So all of that started to happen. One of those people that started calling him out about his whole bullshit was the Kino Casino, mainly because they had, like, for example, what's his name? Whatever his name is, what's his name? Andy actually knew him. They had story together, like real life story together in the early years of YouTube. So they were like more involved with his story personally, and they started calling him out on his lies. And instead of rectifying himself, he started to double down to a point where now things escalated so much that he took down their channel, which is a big no-no. Unless you have hard, provable evidence of a channel, let's say, recruiting members for a human trafficking cult on YouTube. Unless there's something like that, I feel you have no right to attack another channel like that. You have to be a man. Sorry, Jeremy from the Quartering. He did all of that, got the backlash, and now he's crying about it, and he's like crashing out. This is the thing, you can't do that. That is exactly what makes you a Lolcow. Lack of accountability, lack of responsibility. There's many other traits, but this is one of the main ones. Just like Nova here, you don't need to know exactly what was happening anymore. You can already know. Maybe not with the details, maybe not that, oh, it was actually a video made by Kiwi Tapes that made him almost cry or something like that. But you can still know pretty much generally what was going on. And you can rest assured 100% that it was something they started. Oh my god, what a long intro. I was trying to make this quick. Okay. So, the reason why I started this is because I wanted a little bit of an icebreaker in order to contextualize a little bit of the interview that Bludspeth did a couple of months ago already, to one of Nova's ex friends. And I wanted to present the case of how it is true that the things that Nova does lead him to suffer the way that he does by his own hand, even though he had it all, even though in this occasion, just like in many others that he has had in his life before, and he would most likely have still to this point, he has had clues that, life gives you to straighten up your way. Avoid getting devoured whole by the terrible evil monster. Cleanse yourself from the stench of wickedness that lures the terrible evil monster to your whereabouts. Because, this interview is intense. To an extent, I feel that it's good that I waited a little bit to cover this, because I've already seen it. Spoiler alert. But I've forgotten, the details, because I saw it fresh when it came out, and I haven't heard it ever since. And I remember here and there a little details or whatever, but for the most part, I have forgotten. So this is gonna be more of a fresh reaction of it, and I just remember it's intense. It's really telling, and it's kind of extraordinary. And as a little disclaimer, because I know that this person, this guy, the Nova's ex friend, is very controversial, for a lot of reasons that I feel valid, sure, whatever. But I agree with him. I agree with him. I feel that he's an okay person. A lot of people find him very sus, that he was spending so much time and all this effort with Nova. I've heard hints of maybe him even being kind of a groomer, maybe wanting something more, what, with Nova or something like that, or maybe being some kind of pedo himself, and maybe wanting to like tackle, I don't know, stuff like that. I don't think. I don't think. I have my own reasons why I believe that's not the case. Mainly because I feel like I empathize with his mindset a lot. I feel like I understand him enough to give him the benefit of the doubt, and to understand his point of view and his desire to see Nova actually figure it out. I feel like I understand him enough to warrant even doing this video at all to begin with, and bring something that might be useful to somebody in an environment like the one that we have right now everywhere. This person right here, whatever his name is, got me in kind of a really personal way that I was not expecting. So without further ado, let's start because this is super long. My intros, why are they so long every single time? How? You explain that to me. You, right now. Do it. Explain it to me. I demand it. My body needs it. It needs that explanation. Now. Figure it out. Okay, stop talking. Let's go already.
How are we doing? You want to say hi?
What up, everybody? It's me, Nova's former friend.
So, man, you have quite a few stories to tell, I bet.
I do. We've talked about quite a bit of them. A lot of you guys have heard the phone call already.
First question I want to ask is, how'd you meet Nova?
So yeah, like I said, I had seen his videos, I think, for like a year and a half, and it like made me legit sad. So I had emailed him a few times because his email is like, or at least it was like stapled to his TikTok.
Oh, it still is.
And he never responded to any of those.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little sad. I don't take any pride in this, but on Cameo you can like send a message for $1. So after like 2 months of waiting to him reply to like the 1 or 2 emails I sent, I was like, you know what, I'll just message him on Cameo. Never got back to me. Never gave me back that $1 either. So then eventually when I moved back, I was like, fuck it. After like a month or two, I was like, I'm just gonna, like, I've seen his fucking address posted on TikTok comments so many times, like, I'm just gonna go drop off like a letter. If he responds, he responds. If not, whatever. And his response to that was to immediately make a video on the letter, and I don't necessarily agree with that video. I think it was a poor decision. I don't want to give too many details about it because of the poor decisions in it, but and then after that we just started talking, and after like a week or two, or maybe like a month, I think I wanted to like open up prove that I was actually trying to help him. So I like saw that his lawn was like totally overgrown, like 4 feet tall in the front. So I was like, hey man, like I can help you with that. Like your lawn's not large. Like,
okay, I know I said I empathized with this guy and whatever and all that, blah 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 blah. But the first thing, right? The first opinion. Still, this is probably like contradicting everything that I just said for like 30 minutes. But this is too far. This is the reason why people assume that, this is weird. This is like sus. Because why? Maybe this is me just seeing things that are only in my head because I'm like actually projecting or whatever, The generalized opinion was that this is very suspicious. Like, you must have some kind of angle. You must want something out of this. Like, this was weird. That you were, as I said previously, you were trying to like get something, if you know what I mean, with him, because it was too much. And I feel that apart from that, which is a conclusion that a lot of people may have naturally, not only because it's just a conclusion that people are going to have regardless of what, but mainly in the environment that we live right now, things like this just don't look very good. having to drive miles in order to go to a stranger's house that you saw on the internet, offering to mow their lawn. It's just, it's it's a step too far. Not only for the things that everybody's saying, but for something that I feel that you may be displaying here, which is overbearing. Don't get me wrong, I feel that this guy comes through as a very naturally empathetic person, a people's person. Introverted, yeah, but somebody who naturally empathizes with people and is that kind of person that tries to make things better naturally. I understand how that feels. I understand that people like this have this extremely overwhelming instinct to heal other people, to make things better, to correct things. People like this not only are naturally empathetic, but have an inherent sort of wisdom that most other people don't understand. Because of their natural empathy, people like this tend to know how to read people easier, and they tend to naturally know when actions need to happen. As I was saying, I think in my first Nova video that I made a couple of months ago, Nova is a naturally charismatic person. It's not a popular opinion, but it's not a popular opinion because it's not popular to admit it, not because it's not true. It's just because nobody wants to admit something good about Nova. But I feel that that is a tremendous mistake, because people don't need to be completely and utter villainous all the time to be a monster, or to be regretful, or to be called out for something. There needs to be nuance and power to discern in order to identify that maybe because this person has these good traits doesn't mean that they are excusable for something, and vice versa. You know what I mean? I don't know if I am explaining myself well enough, but at the end of the day, just because you can admit a quality, or you can empathize with Nova about something, doesn't mean that he is magically excusable for the things that he actually does. Nova was a person who was born naturally sympathetic. He was naturally charismatic in his DNA, in his nature. Nova was born naturally sensitive and creative, actually. He was born with that type of personality that makes you, when you grow up, to be like a natural healer, somebody who eases tension in bad times, somebody who knows how to comfort others, somebody who knows how to identify problems in other people and naturally knows how to fix them. We are all born with natural predispositions as human beings. We all have types. We are all born with those types of characteristics, and they're all useful. And Nova was born as that type of person that can be like a carer. He was born to be a great person, actually, and you can tell. Sorry, but you can tell. But the fact that you can tell those things does not excuse him for the mistakes that he has done. The fact that you are born that way and you have that kind of nature does not excuse you for having gotten corrupted. Nobody is infallible. And the fact that you were born with a certain type of nature doesn't mean that you're not going to fall into the opposite. Matter of fact, the fact that you were born for natural goodness makes it even worse and sadder, actually. The fact that you have fallen to where you have fallen now. And this is just a testimony of how bad upbringing, bad education, bad practices, bad examples can break anybody, can get anybody. You, me, anybody. We can all fall into the worst version of ourselves pretty much at any time. And that is scary. That is actually something that terrifies me a lot. I could have fallen into the things that I hate the most. I'm not exempt from anything. I have made a lot of self evaluations over the years in my life, and I have realized all the places where I could have fallen if I didn't took action in time, and it's terrifying. It's gross. It's incredibly dark because social confusion, depression, uh, a bad environment. There's so many things that throw you into horrible depths. Let's just call it. But I'm rambling too much as always. Okay, I was mentioning overbearing because I can see this guy, the ex-friend, being very naturally empathetic too, and seeing that kind of thing, that basically empathizing with Nova. I see it no more than just empathy for Nova. I have no evidence for any of that. I simply decide to see it as nothing more than pure empathy for Nova, and that is it. I probably could go as far as to say that maybe this guy, Nova's ex-friend, he's trying to maybe compensate, maybe compensating for things that he lacked in his life in the past. That void, that need, makes him to go overboard when seeing somebody that he sees that is in need. Okay, just like super quick. I remember years ago, over 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or something like that, when I was starting my art career, I was in this event. They were going to inaugurate this place, and it was full of galleries, art galleries. One of those galleries contacted me to participate in there for the inauguration. The thing is that this place was being rehabilitated to use as a cultural like spot in the city, because it was like pretty much like a crack house, pretty much. Not a crack house, but almost. It was an abandoned area in the city, so it needed a lot of work. When this gallery invited me to participate in the inauguration, it was before anything was ready, and everything was like torn apart. You literally needed to rebuild the place, and by rebuild I mean like remove the tiles in the floor to replace them, or fix them in however way you needed it. Fix the plumbing, everything. There was like garbage from like the 70s piled up in there. The thing is that I didn't know these people. I just met them. I remember the first day I went there, I saw the situation. I went there because they invited me to just like, check the place and just like explain to me what their plans were. And I remember I went there. I saw the deadline. I saw the situation. I saw everything, what was going on. And I was like, these guys are not gonna make it. This is stupid. This is impossible. And I was like, but instead of saying no, I'm not gonna participate in this thing because you're not gonna make it, what I did was that I said, you know what? Why don't you take advantage of the fact that I was in this art event not so long ago. I sold a little bit. I had money. Why don't I just help you for free? No paying me back or any bullshit like that. Just for free. And I help you with like manual labor here to actually get this thing like ready. And they were like, oh yeah, totally. And why did I do that? Was it because I'm like splendid or anything like that? No. It was because I saw I saw a bunch of people that needed something, and I could provide that So I just did it. It was natural. I just did it. And I remember a lot of times where I could have needed something like that in my life and I never got it. The only person who could have ever done something in that magnitude like that would have been me. So I saw them and I realized I didn't want it to see them go through the same issues that I went through earlier than that. So I offered my help. If you think about it, it's actually not as selfless as it seems, because I was also compensating for a void that I had, a lacking of something that I had personally. You see, I was being overbearing for people that I didn't know, and for a situation that ended up biting me in the ass later on. That's another story. You are doing too much for people that you don't know. You don't even know that if those people actually deserve it. And trust me, more times than less, they actually don't deserve it. And they end up dragging you and consuming you. And you are also setting them a bad example that they can just get anything they want without warranting it. You're actually doing them more harm than what you might imagine, because it seems like a good action. We live in an environment where everything is fucked up, where everybody is damaged, like everybody is damaged. And it is very natural to have an instinct to try to fix them. But we need to have boundaries. We need to learn boundaries. This scenario is honestly a red flag from you, Nova's ex-friend. You need to work on your savior complex. I know it's natural in you, but it is unhealthy and it can become toxic. Help like this is something that you offer to somebody that you know, someone close and trustworthy. And if you went through this whole trouble of driving so much, so far, and offering this level of work, you could have easily investigated more of this guy and seen that it was a terrible red flag, this scenario in both ends. Okay, moving on because I'm rambling too much.
This is what friends do. Like, let me help you with this thing that's obviously a daunting task. So that was really like the intro to us actually being like in-person friends.
I see. Okay, that's certainly interesting. If you could go back, would you stop yourself from ever trying to be friends with Nova?
No, I'd probably do it all the same way. Just because I think the experience, well, maybe I'm projecting a little bit, but I think that an experience of having like an adult, legitimate, like healthy friend is important. Like, because now for everything else he does in the future, like he won't have the excuse of like, oh, I had no one to help me. It's
Okay.
like, yeah, you did, dude. Like you had me. I was there for almost a year. Like, trying to give you advice whenever you needed it or would ask for it. Like trying to help you with like random little shit, like taking you to the store, like helping
Oh,
you with your lawn twice, like
wow.
taking him out on little excursions just to make sure he gets out of the house. I think we went to the arcade like 4 or 5 times.
Okay, one more thing. I promise I'm gonna try not to interrupt so much, but this is another point that I've seen a lot of people point out. I've seen a lot of people, in my opinion, misunderstanding what he's saying right here and saying that is very weird, that he's saying that. Why would you say that? You are gifting Nova this friendship and this memory of like this experience and all that. What are you trying to get from this, etc.? This doesn't make any sense. Like, this is stupid. This is suspicious, etc., etc., etc. And pardon, but from the way I understand it, I promise I'm not just projecting. I have a very good level of security to say that it's not about an angle. It's not about, again, this is my opinion, because this makes sense with everything, the details that this guy gives during the interview. Just the fact that the way he said that he was interested on helping out Nova and empathizing with him, and a lot of little details here and there throughout the entire interview makes sense with the thing that he said here. People like I feel this guy Nova's ex-friend is, as I feel he is, tend to have a natural sensitivity, and this sensitivity can lead you to have a certain capacity for observation, for detecting nuances, and reading people, reading the room, reading situations in a way that other people can't understand. And that leads you to have this inherent sort of wisdom. And this wisdom can lead you to act in certain ways that could be described as selfless or detached, nonsensical even, but offering a path of, you might say, salvation to somebody who is really screwed up and really in the need for something like that, without any kind of pretension outside of them simply figuring it out. Even if they never actually take it, it's something that makes perfect sense to me, anyways. It's something that adds up to everything else that this guy displays himself to be. Doing something like that can help a person like Nova's ex-friend, can help them like sleep at night after years have passed by in ways other people could not understand. It's like seeing that somebody dropped a $20 bill and a lot of people would have just taken it, but you go and like tell them that they dropped it, you chase them down and you give it back. And later on, a year later, you remember that story, and maybe they were going to use that money to, I don't know, buy drugs or something like that. It's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is that you gave it back. You didn't took it. You know? Nova dropped some proverbial $20 bill years ago, and you see that he dropped it and you gave it back. You can sleep at night knowing that you gave it back. That's how I feel, anyways. The little detail that you have to consider in this equation right here is that in this instance, there is more at stake than just you and the person who is in need for some guidance or whatever. There is also a third element, which is potential victims to this person who is in need, who in this case are not only just victims of getting targeted in a sexual predatory way, but also they are minors. And for somebody to fall so deep to the point where they are willing to target somebody like that, they are sadly usually, as far as I can understand, far from simple quote unquote salvation, right? No. Your run of the mill misguided person doesn't do something like that for the most part. You need steps to follow deeper and deeper and deeper into doing something like that. And usually, as much as it sucks to admit, when people are falling that deep, they usually are unwilling to come out of that hole anymore. If anything, the most tragic part is that somebody as young as Nova already fell that deep. And by rewarding him with little arcade trips and all these kind of things like friendly help and whatever, you are rewarding him for doing something wrong. Therefore, giving him the idea that he doesn't need to improve, that he's entitled to get whatever he wants. Remember, I might be completely wrong. To me, it makes sense. Okay, I don't know. Figure it out.
When you first interacted with him, what was your like impression seeing Nova online in the flesh, in the rotten flesh?
It has to be bizarre.
It actually, surprised me a little
Makes
bit.
sense.
Just because he's a very bubbly person online. Like he's always, and not even just online. Like when I would take him to the arcade a few times, it was like it's very interesting how his mind operates. Like I met him the first time, he wouldn't even look at me. Like he wouldn't even look me in the eyes, and I was like helping him with his lawn. And I'm not like a passive person. I address stuff like that. So within like the first 5 minutes, I was like, why aren't you making eye contact with me? Like, why are you looking at the ground? And he told me like, oh, I'm really nervous. I don't like hang out with people that much. And I was like, oh, okay. But then like later we go to like the arcade like a couple weeks later, and I'm having to tell him to like stop screaming because he got like the bonus on the coin machine or something. So it's like this weird dichotomy of like super nervous but also like totally unaware of how he's projecting his presence.
Yes, exactly. Everything makes sense to somebody with zero social cues, like the both extremes: super awkward quietness and distancing from in person with somebody, and then in another scenario being completely loud and inappropriate, and just like bubbly and like explosive. Yeah, zero social cues. It makes sense. Overly sheltered upbringing, never pushed to go outside of its comfort bubble. This is a horrible extreme of what can happen. Lack of human interaction outside of his mom, who never pushed him. There you go.
I mean, and that extends to his hygiene, obviously. Like, his hygiene was like a consistent problem, and so it's just very strange to me where you're like this person who scared to look somebody in the eyes, but you're comfortable with like having a scent that is, smellable from like 5 feet away. It's like
Jeez.
really strange.
Was it really that bad?
Yeah, and I'm a big honesty guy. I don't like exaggeration just because I think it takes away from like.
Yes. When it comes to people like this, I feel is a disservice if you exaggerate and you make up shit. You do a disservice because they don't need exaggeration. You simply need to say the things exactly as they are, and they are already too extraordinary to be even believed.
People who are actually just trying to understand, something or someone. So I'm not exaggerating when I say you can smell him from like 5 feet away.
Oh my goodness.
He's absolutely right. You can tell. I know he's not lying because you can tell just by looking at him.
This is a bit of a scary question.
And I'm also going to say that, like, I'm not saying this because, like, oh, fuck this guy. I'm saying it because, like, this was something I talked to him about for months.
Yes. Just accusing Nova or people like Nova and just, like, pointing fingers and, like, casting them out. It's a little bit of a disservice. There's no utility in that. It's more useful and productive to simply have them fix themselves. We need more useful, productive, well-adjusted people around to make everything, our lives, our very own lives and self, individually, each one, better. It just makes more sense to have somebody fix their shit. They both work better as an example for others of how to fix yourself, and also work better as a functioning member of society.
Like if it was something that he fixed, I'd probably be giving him praise right now. We're like, oh, this was like a big problem before, but we made it through.
Just giving him props.
He I'm saying, hey, dude, you're inconveniencing like yourself, everyone around you in public, and you're doing literally nothing about it. Even though like me and like my other few friends who hung out with him a few times are all saying like, dude, this is not good. Like, this isn't healthy. It's disgusting.
I see. And
so that was my first impression. Just like interested how like he can be so loud and maybe obnoxious is a unkind word to use, but I think it's also correct.
Yeah,
but while also being like super shy with real humans.
Interesting. What did he like smell like? If that's something you can describe.
So it's like it's not exactly cat pee, but it's like half cat pee, half ammonia, but like both of them cranked up, so it doesn't really smell like either. It's like its own thing, kind of.
Wow.
It's Bigfoot smell.
And when you guys went out in public, has anyone ever commented on it or maybe like shown a reaction, like walking past?
No, uh, oh, yeah. So there was one time, I can't, I don't know for sure if that's what they were acting from, but I was certain enough to make a comment to another person we were with. But there was one time we were at an arcade and we were walking by someone and someone said, "Do you smell that?"
Super quick. I made a video long ago, years ago, about my own personal theories about lonely people and smell, body smell. My conclusion, my theory, my personal theory. Thanks for listening. Is the need to feel accompanied. There's a little gesture that we do and we don't even realize that we do it. But when people feel insecure, when people feel threatened, when they feel lonely and anxious, one of the main body language gestures that you can identify of somebody experiencing those feelings is putting your hand somewhere around your mouth or your nose. I don't know if you noticed that. You scratch your nose. You put your hand like over your mouth. You scratch your cheeks. You put it on your chin. Stuff like that. Those moments you feel anxious. You feel lonely. You need comfort. And the main comfort that we get as mammals, it's the comfort of others, support of other people. And when we don't have it in those situations, we don't have somebody nearby to comfort us and support us, and it's very instinctive for us to put our hand like near our nose. We are not realizing why, because consciously we don't detect our own smell, but unconsciously we do. Our brain detects our own smell, and the smell of ourselves gives us a little bit of comfort. And I feel that to an extent, that need of like lonely lolcow people, like to the extreme of like Nova, to like never shower, stuff like that, because it's always a pattern, right? Never showering. I feel to an extent it's because of loneliness that your own smell gives you comfort. To an extent, as I said, there's many factors, but my conclusion is that that is one of them. Okay, moving on.
So I'm pretty sure other people had noticed, but I can't be certain that they were talking about him, but I also don't know what else would elicited that response. So I'm like 99% sure
Yeah.
people are smelling him.
And as for your friendship, if you could describe it in a nutshell, what would you say?
So yeah, it was basically, I don't know. I mean, if we look at the text later, you guys will all get a pretty good idea, but it was mostly me just trying to like help him out, be someone for him to talk to who's not going to be like gaslighting him or like intentionally manipulating him to make poor choices. Like really just someone who's going to give him to it straight, like actual adult advice, and someone who will help him with stuff. And he showed genuine kindness towards me, and there's a lot of moments where, maybe not a lot, there was a few moments where he would remember like some stuff I was going through or some big things on my plate, and he would like a day before or a day after be like, hey, how did this go? So he seemed to have a genuine desire to be kind towards me, but at the same time there'd be like weeks where he just like would not talk to me, or like weeks where he would ignore my messages. And then a trend of his is just like to not even address things like that, like didn't talk for 3 weeks, ignored me for 3 weeks. Like, here's a TikTok I saw.
Wow. And how did that make you feel?
I mean, it didn't really make. I mean, it's a little frustrating, I guess, but also like I'm not like I understand who this guy is.
You understand who this guy is, but did you? Because if you did, you should have known that the things that he did, right? The discords, the predatory behavior towards minors, and realizing that his case was not just somebody who needed like an extra, like a little bit of like, like a buddy. You should have been able to understand already that this guy is manipulative and kind of a constant liar. He is somebody who is in desperate need for somebody who help him rectify his ways, right? But at the same time, he is beyond just having a homie to help them sort things through. I hope Nova's ex-friend that in the future you learn to put boundaries a little bit. I'm sorry to say, dude, but sometimes you just have to admit that we can't save everybody. It's a very humbling experience. We are not all powerful. We can't save everybody. We have limits, and sometimes there are problems that don't belong to us.
These are all things I, expected. So it's like, I'm not, again, it's like if a toddler steals your wallet, are you going to be like, why would the toddler do this?
You are right, but Nova's not a toddler. You are infantilizing Nova. Therefore, unwillingly removing responsibility from Nova, because a toddler would not really be that responsible for stealing your wallet because he hasn't learned right and wrong yet, but Nova has. Yo, Executive Nova? Huh. Anyways, yes, I understand you, guy, that you are an extremely understanding person. I don't have doubt on that. But you were infantilizing Noah, therefore, as I said, removing responsibility for the things that he needs to take responsibility for. It's actually kind of urgent.
It's just like, oh, that's a toddler. It's just doing stuff, like whatever. So it's like I wasn't personally hurt by it. I didn't really see it as that big of a slight. It was just like another thing to account for in a relationship, I guess.
So you think basically he's just so mentally not there that you should expect the kind of behavior he has?
So I think people should determine that on an individual level because, like I said, I'm kind of torn on how much of it is like ignorance and how much of it is just an intentional feigning of ignorance to like get away with a lot of stuff, especially with all the stuff that have came out the last few weeks. It's like you can't even explain it through the framework he presents. Like it doesn't make sense. So
It's intentionally playing ignorant. Why? Because there has been enough evidence to show him, his wrong ways, his mistakes, his bad practices. I think it's legitimate ignorance at first. Anybody can make any kind of mistake. We are not born knowing certain things are illegal or certain things are socially unacceptable or immoral. Those things we learn them over the years we are developing. So at first, but after the first time, if they showed you why this is wrong or that is wrong or whatever, you can't play ignorance anymore. It's intentional. And with that, I'm gonna leave it with this because I've recorded way too much. I only covered 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. Oof, I promise I'm gonna finish this interview, and I'm not going to inject myself for like 40 minutes. I promise. I'm making an effort here. There's so much that comes to my mind whenever I see Nova. That is why I started these videos to begin with. Pinky promise. Next video, I'm not going to inject myself so much in the thing. Only a little bit. Only a little. Come on. Only a little. Because, spoiler alert, can you guess what he's been up to after this interview took place and the events of that interview unfolded? Can you guess?
There's a double Dutch bus.
Can you guess he learned something from this experience? There's that social tone dissonance that Novo's ex-friend was talking about. Look at him. Exactly. You can see it right here. That's it. Just by the little snippet that we were able to see by what I presented already, you could have already tell how much of a lesson he could have learned. He could have figured it out, at least a little bit, right? To at least feel shame from his previous self and be like, okay, let me step back and try to figure it out, start over. But is he gonna figure it out? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I guess you're gonna have to keep watching my next video, or just like anybody that has already covered it right now. But no, you don't want to do that. You want to stay and wait for the next one. Psychic powers. You are compelled. You are compelled. You will wait for the next video. And you will not complain that I ramble too much and make these videos way too long. You can't see it, but I'm waving my hand right now in front of my face. Ooh. You are compelled. Wait.